side B is not my private. I don't want to post too much beside B.
Yes, I understand. That's the only reason, yeah. It was Pittsburgh yesterday, but I'm back in New York City today. I was spending the morning here at the the surrogate court, investigating probate filings in this ongoing investigation into the shenanigans of Tish James. Now, the title today, we're at half-mast there on the flag. I don't know why. The title today is Shenanigans or Straight Shooting at the surrogate court, because I've learned many things today, and, I don't know the answer. In fact, more questions have been raised from what I've learned today, but I did learn some important stuff. Now, I haven't spoken about Tish James in a little while because I knew I was going to come here, and it was, I don't know, maybe a month ago when I started talking about this. And both Sam Antar and Joel Gilbert started freaking out. It didn't make sense to me. I was supportive of those guys originally. I thought they were friendly associates, but now I think they're social engineers who are controlled by the Department of Justice due to plea arrangements associated with felonies. That's my opinion based on evidence I've seen in the public domain. You might look at that same evidence and come to a different conclusion, but this is the surrogate court here. And I was in there looking at the filings related to Marie Rose. Marie Rose, people might recall, was the owner of 11404 Inwood Street. That's an apartment that is associated with Tish James in as much as she's been accused of mortgage fraud, initially by Joel, to my knowledge, for declaring that she was married to her father. And that was so that they could get a mortgage on that thing. And I had said some things that I now know to be incorrect, or I believe to be incorrect. I had said that Tish James never owned that property when she got the mortgage, but in fact, I did find the deed. I had also said that the decedent, Marie Rose, see, we're half-mast today, I don't know why. I had said that the administrator of her state was a federal judge named Thomas Michael Rose. I now have learned that she did in fact have a son with that same exact name, Thomas Michael Rose. Now look at this. Here we have the Queens Eye Center with that I and the number 88, which I think is good luck in China. And then we've also got the Bar Association there. I just noticed that right now. I didn't know that. What do people think of that? Right across the street from the surrogate court. Anyway, so yeah, Marie Rose dies July 1982 in her apartment in Queens from a heart attack, it seems, and she's found there. The son lives in Pennsylvania. I got the address. I was able to purchase certain documents here that you cannot get online. They're not downloadable online, but when you access the same web surrogate database up here in the records room, they allow you to look at it there. You're not allowed to copy things, you're not allowed to photograph things from the screen or anything like that. It says no cell phones allowed. But you can then go outside that room to the cashier and purchase certain documents that are available to the public. The person printing and selling you those documents knows that the death certificate is going to be included in these historic scanned documents, and so they go through and take that out. They won't give you that. And I asked the guy if it's possible that somebody could come here and obtain that in the way that it appears Joel Gilbert might have, and the guy said no. I mean, certainly a mistake could happen, it would seem. Somebody could forget to do that process of taking out the death certificate. They're human, they're not infallible. But everybody in that building just bristles when you mention the idea of getting somebody's death certificate. I even asked a guy, I mean, is it like going into the bank and trying to withdraw money from somebody else's account? And he said, yes, you just can't do it. I mean, has that never ever happened in the history of banks, that somebody accidentally got money out of somebody else's account? Maybe it has, but it's just not the type of thing that happens. Additionally, the cashier for the records room would not give me a thumb drive. You know, it's a PDF document or whatever they have there stored in their computer system, but they said no. The only thing that we will give you is a printout. And remember, Joel had a PDF document there on the Gateway Pundit. Did he scan 44 pages and make his own PDF document out of that? Maybe. I don't think so. I think that type of document would have a particularly decimated look to it that Joel's document did not seem to have. So I'm not sure that that's what we saw there. It seems to me like what Joel had, and this is my surmise. I could be wrong, but I think Joel is a fucking liar. And I think what he's got there is a PDF document provided to him by Tish James, or somebody communicating with him on behalf of Tish James because she wanted that document out. Because I believe Tish James is trying to promote a carefully constructed narrative about what's going on with these mortgage frauds, these alleged mortgage frauds, because there's a lot of weird stuff that's going on. So, okay, we've got this Thomas Michael Rose. He's the son. He died himself in 2002. This woman was born 1906 or something like that. The son was born 1926. Mother was 20. That makes sense. The guy died at 75 in 2002, 2006, something like that. I have the documents in the car. I'm going to scan them all and examine them much more thoroughly, but I have queried these documents this morning after obtaining them with ChatGPT, comparing them to the deeds, the mortgage documents that I downloaded weeks ago. And so the thing that's strange is the court ordered this guy, Thomas M. Rose, the son, he's granted papers of administration. You know, there's a whole legal process there. He's got a lawyer, and all of that is documented in the papers. He's granted letters of administration, but the court orders him that he can't sell the thing. You know, he's going to get more than $10,000 benefit from selling this property, because she died intestate, meaning no will. So then New York intestate laws determine who controls the property. I guess this is why it's important to have a will if you own anything. And so it says that he can't do anything with it for a value of more than $10,000 without getting additional permission from the court. And there's no record of that additional permission that I've seen. Maybe there was and it wasn't properly recorded here. I don't know, but it's weird. And remember, this is the property that, see, here's the deed between Thomas M. Rose and Letitia James. And on this deed, it says Thomas M. Rose, as administrator of the estate of Marie Rose, he's deeding this property to Robert and Letitia James. And this says, there's Thomas M. Rose, this says that Letitia James is his daughter. Robert and Letitia James right there, his daughter, right? And so, I mean, again, the problem here is this is the property that's associated with that illustrious guest contributor, that's Joel, and this is the property where he first pointed out that she says Robert and Tish James, his property that she got back in Wood Street in Jamaica. That's the property that was owned by Marie Rose. So there's just so much suspicion surrounding this thing, you know? And I used also Thomas Michael Rose, Ohio. The son lived over that in the future, but same guy, but this conflation of names, it's just such an odd coincidence that these guys have exactly the same name. I kind of can't get it out of my mind. I feel like it has some significance, but I have no proof that this federal judge has done anything, and you got to be very careful accusing federal judges of stuff. Isn't this a weird thing to be outside the danger? What does that say? Let's go look at that weird thing. So I don't know, you know, Tish James, so the guy violates a court order, the son, Thomas M. Rose, because he sells the apartment for $30,000, you know, $31,400, something weird like that. Very low value for that apartment. It's got to be worth more than that. Cordoza, danger invites rescue. The cry of distress is the summon to relief. So, there. This is the Queens County Supreme Court. I guess this is the whole entire court. Yeah, I was just up on the 7th floor. That's where the surrogate court is. Maybe all kinds of court is going on in here. 8811, wherever we are here in Queens. So I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, remember. Nothing I'm saying here is legal advice. I could be totally wrong about everything, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Also, I got to look at Marie Rose, her death certificate. You're not allowed to take it, but you can see it on screen there in the web surrogate court, you know, in the records room up there. And it doesn't look anything like the death certificate from 1986 from Robert James. And also when I spoke to the guy operating, very helpful guy operating the records room there, I showed him the printout of what Joel had. And he was super alarmed that somebody would publish a death certificate. And, I mean, the place is a vault in there. And he confirmed that the reason it's like that is because they are there to guard people's records, because this is like a treasure trove of, you know, potential identity theft and all kinds of stuff like this. Stealing people's apartments when they die and all kinds of weird stuff. So everybody there was pretty shocked at what I was saying. And I just don't know what to make of all this. We need to continue looking into it. But the death certificate for Marie Rose from 1982 looks nothing like the death certificate from 1986. And, you know, okay, 4 years, maybe the documents change, but it's not like one of them was handwritten and one of them was on the computer. 1986 was decidedly still well within the time frame that no kind of government, anything like a court like this was using computers for those kind of records. Definitely not. As a matter of fact, it seems like 2006 or 2014 or something like that was when they don't have records in their database prior to 2014. Like for that, that's what you get. That's all microfilm that you got to come online. You can't get prior to 2014. That's what you got to come here for, the microfilm stuff. And I think the database began in 2006. Now there was some confusion in there as to how Judge Cassandra's name got on the file, because I looked at other files from, you know, back in the day, and her name wasn't on there. So one person said it's because she's the current judge, and then when I asked, well, then why isn't her name on all these files, and there wasn't a good answer for that, the guy at the cashier window, when I went to print out Marie Rose, I asked him, let's see if we can tuck in from the wind here. When the cashier went to print out the documents for me from Marie Rose, I asked him if interacting with the file in the way that he is right now could prompt it to update in a way that would put the current judge's name on it. And he sort of looked at me and said, I think so. So it's possible that there's aspects of this computer system, I mean, you know, obscure aspects like that, that maybe these guys aren't experts in, but that would make sense. Maybe Joel went in there and interacted with this Marie Rose file and printed things out from it, and that put Judge Cassandra's name on it. Maybe Judge Cassandra doesn't know anything about this, shouldn't presume anything about the judge, but I go back to Joel, because if he interacted with this file, why did he get so upset when I started talking about it? And You know, he blocked me and said I'm a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, really just acted like a dick. And remember, after that, I found in Joel's publicly available, online, accessible criminal records, he's got a lot of moving violations. He's obviously driving around Ventura County like an idiot. But one of them was this misdemeanor that was a little strange, no details available. And other people that I've spoken to have said that it's possible that if he had a felony, that through a plea deal, it's possible. I'm not saying this happened. I don't have evidence that this happened. I am surmising, making a guess and a statement of opinion based on public domain evidence that I've seen that could mean something else. You might find some other conclusion from looking at it, but I'm presuming it's possible that this mysterious misdemeanor could be the result of a plea arrangement from a felony, and perhaps that plea arrangement included the offer that the details of the criminal activity would be sealed. So I'm just very suspicious of people who have entered into plea agreements, because we know Felix Sater did that, and he became a total intelligence asset, according to him, and sworn testimony that he's given to Congress, where he's a DIA, FBI, CIA intelligence asset who's going to Afghanistan to find missiles, getting represented by the same attorney who basically destroyed my financial livelihood and destroyed where the Emmys sued me by George's maniac. It seems he sort of went, I think, to trick me into thinking that he was going away. I'm still not able to speak, and hopefully within. I wanted to come over to try to understand what the hell is going on with some of these allegations of mortgage fraud against New York. And I do think something strange is going on with this Marie Rose. Because remember, that filing, it was made on October 14th, 1982, according to the computer documents. And October 14th in 1999, it's the same exact day that this highly suspicious probate filing related to Tish James' father was filed. And it just strikes me that if you're a nervous criminal, I'm not saying she is, but if a random person were a nervous criminal in there making a forged filing, you might use the day and just backdate the year. In fact, I think it's highly suggestive that that's what happened. I don't know. We're going to have to continue looking into this, but my parking meter is about to run out, so that's all I have to say today. Please sponsor the show, everybody. It's like all this driving around and doing stuff. It's very expensive. You can go to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. So, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com is another great way to do it. Thanks to everybody on Odyssey. Can't accept new sponsors on Odyssey right now. But also, subscribe to me on X at JG_CSTT. Thanks to everybody who's sponsoring the show. I couldn't do all this stuff, pay for stuff without your support and sponsorship. I'm not selling pillows. I'm not sponsored by any kind of big corporate anything. Viewer sponsors. So thanks to people who sponsor.